Good day, and welcome to the NetEase 2021 third quarter earnings conference call. Today's conference is being recorded. At this time, I would like to turn the conference over to Margaret Shi, IR Director of NetEase. Please go ahead.
Thank you, operator. Please note the discussion today will contain forward-looking statements relating to future performance of the company and are intended to qualify for the safe harbor from liability as established by the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act. Such statements are not guarantees of future performance and are subject to certain risks and uncertainties, assumptions, and other factors. Some of these risks are beyond the company's control and could cause actual results to differ materially from those mentioned in today's press release and in this discussion. A general discussion of the risk factors that could affect NetEase's business and financial results is included in certain filings of the company with the Securities and Exchange Commission, including its annual report on Form 20-F, and the announcements and the filings on the website of Hong Kong Stock Exchange. The company does not undertake any obligation to update this forward-looking information except as required by law. During today's call, management will discuss certain non-GAAP financial measures for comparison purposes only. For a definition of non-GAAP financial measures as a reconciliation of GAAP to non-GAAP financial results, please see the 2021 third quarter earnings news release issued earlier today. As a reminder, this conference is being recorded. In addition, an investor presentation and a webcast replay of this conference call will be available on NetEase corporate website at ir.netease.com. Joining us today on the call from NetEase senior management is Mr. William Ding, Chief Executive Officer, and Mr. Charles Yan, Chief Financial Officer. I will now turn the call over to Charles, who will read the prepared remarks on behalf of William.
Thank you, Margaret, and thank you everyone for participating in today's call. Before we begin, I would like to remind everyone that all percentages are based on RMB. The third quarter was an exciting one for NetEase. We launched a number of top-ranking games, bringing our game revenues to a new record of RMB 15.9 billion. Our other business segments also grew robustly, supporting our total net revenues growth of around 19% year-over-year, reaching 22.2 billion RMB. For online games, our flagship titles continues to demonstrate strong growth after nearly 2 decades of operation. Revenues from Fantasy Westward Journey Online and Westward Journey Online both grew at double-digit rates year-over-year in the third quarter. The mobile versions of these 2 legacy sagas showed resilient year-over-year growth as well. Adding to our strong portfolio of PC games, our new hit games, Naraka: Bladepoint and Nightmare Breaker, took our PC games revenue to a new record high in the third quarter, growing by 30% year-over-year, far outpacing industry growth. Featuring unchained melee combat, Naraka: Bladepoint has taken the PC games market by storm, reinvigorating the stable battle royale genre with exciting novel ideas. Its global success showcased our ability to bring first-rate games to the world stage. By November the 10th, we have already sold more than 6 million copies of Naraka: Bladepoint worldwide in just 4 months' time, making it one of the top sellers ever on Steam platform. Players in both China and global markets are hailing Naraka: Bladepoint for its thrilling combat experience. So far, Naraka: Bladepoint has retained an 80% positive review rate on Steam, which naturally leads to excellent user retention and continued user growth. We believe Naraka: Bladepoint will experience the same level of longevity as many other NetEase flagship titles. We work hard to keep our games fresh and plan to continuously introduce more exciting new content, including new modes, heroes, and maps. To add to the enthusiasm, We are also currently working around the clock to extend the game offering to console and mobile platforms. We expect to bring players these exciting versions in the next year. On the heels of the Naraka Bladepoint Zero, we launched another PC game, Nightmare Breaker, in September. It is an action-based competitive fighting game taking place in a fantasy setting. Players can choose from a variety of roles with unique abilities to battle against dark forces and save the world. As a game with unique gameplay, Nightmare Breaker further expands our base of PC players. Turning on to the mobile side, our new hit game, Harry Potter Magic Awakened, has enchanted millions of players going viral across China. It instantly dominated both top download charts and top grossing charts in China following its launch in September. Harry Potter Magic Awakened conjures a charming wizardry world, touching the heart of millions. The game has attracted large crowds from young generations. Across the gamer community, its elaborate designs are gaining great acclaim, including iconic European retro picture books and interesting card-based combat. Infused with abundant competitive gameplay, we hope Harry Potter Magic Awakened will continue to gain adoration from players in China, maintaining its popularity over the longer term as many of our other titles do. We are equally excited for its global launch. Calling on the nostalgia of generations of Harry Potter fans, we believe this game has great potential for extensive popularity across the globe. Currently, we are working hard on its localization for other geographies, with plans to formally launch Harry Potter Magic Awakened in some of the major overseas markets next year. As another title we launched in the domestic market, our space-themed SLG game, Infinite Lagrange, also had a strong start in China in the third quarter. Sci-fi fans were captivated by the game's intense and exciting travel through time and space. In time, we believe Infinite Lagrange will continue to earn respect from even more players, extending our strength in the SLG market through its super immersive space experience. On the international front, we introduced The Lord of the Rings: Rise to War to the US, Europe, and several other overseas markets, making a strong debut at the end of the third quarter. The Lord of the Rings: Rise to War has amassed a huge user base across the globe. With engaging and thought-provoking gameplay, as well as a strong appeal of the Lord of the Rings IP, we see great potential for the growth of its users. We expect The Lord of the Rings: Rise to War to behave similarly to our other time-proven SLG title, Invincible, with revenue ramping up gradually and showing an upward trend over time with a long-lasting life cycle. Complementary to our in-house R&D capabilities, we have also been deepening our overseas footprint through strategic investments and partnerships. We are looking for talent and teams that complement our R&D skills on a global scale. Over the past few years, we've invested in top teams including Bungie, Quantic Dream, Second Dinner, and Theorycraft, as well as the recently announced strategic funding in Kepler and acquisition of Grasshopper in Japan. With these partnerships, we plan to share our know-how in R&D and operations while gaining new inspiration from the creative minds of these overseas studios, as well as a deeper understanding of overseas users and their preferences. Together, we share the same passion and vision to build the next sensational blockbuster for players worldwide. In addition, we have launched a few game studios in places such as Montreal, Tokyo, and LA, with an aim to attract the best international talent to further broaden our R&D capabilities. Moving to our game pipeline, as I mentioned earlier, in the next year, we plan to launch Harry Potter Magic Awakens in more overseas regions, as well as bringing players console and mobile versions of Naraka Blade Point. Very soon, we will be introducing another highly anticipated game, the Showbiz Dream Chaser, our self-developed Showbiz simulation game. Catering mainly to emerging female users, this game provides players with a new role-playing experience as an actor or actress in the world of showbiz. Here, players get to live their dreams of fame and explore the exciting life of a performer in the entertainment industry. Highly acclaimed for its distinctive setting, immersive experience, and art design, we believe the Showbiz Dream Chaser could open up a new genre with great market potential for NetEase. Our pipeline also includes Diablo Immortal and Ghost World Chronicle. Moving ahead, we will continue to bring players inspiring new games that stand the test of time in China and worldwide. Turning to Youdao, we have made solid progress with our transition to better align Youdao's business with the latest regulatory guidelines, which aim to alleviate excessive academic pressure on Chinese youth. While we are in the process of disposing of our academic after-school tutoring business, we are making excellent progress with our other pillars of future growth, including STEAM courses, adult learning, smart devices, and education digitalization solutions. Total net revenues for Youdao in the third quarter were RMB 1.4 billion, representing a 55% growth year-over-year. Revenues from the after-school academic tutoring classes in China's compulsory education system accounts for around 25% of Youdao's total net revenues. In the third quarter, we continue to grow our STEAM course offerings. For Youdao Go, Youdao Weiqi, its gross billings and user engagement have been growing rapidly since its launch last year. During the quarter, we upgraded its current AI system during the period, giving our students a more efficient platform for practices. Youdao iCode, Youdao Xiaotulin, which prepares children for programming education, launched Python courses in this quarter and became a member of China Computer Federation Programming Trainer Accreditation. Our reach in the adult education space is also expanding, as encouraged by the authorities. For example, our extraordinary memory, 非常记忆 course retained its leading position with gross billings approaching RMB 100 million in a single quarter. We also recently announced a collaboration with Amazon Web Services, AWS, to bring its free digital training courses to Chinese users on NetEase Cloud Classroom. Learning devices remain robust with record high revenues of RMB 255 million, a 56% increase year-over-year. Youdao continuously upgrades and enriches its product offerings to facilitate efficient learning under different scenarios. In the third quarter, collaborating with the People's Education Electronic and Audiovisual Press, we launched a new version of our award-winning dictionary pen containing over 4,000 original sounds from textbooks published by the press. We also rolled out our Youdao Listening Pod in September, which helps improve students' English skills in listening, speaking, and reading through real-time intelligent scoring and pronunciation correction functions. In addition, we are working with local schools, experimenting with different digitization solutions, which give school teachers more automated teaching and grading tools and facilities, enabling more efficient teaching. Now, looking at our cloud music business, we continue to improve our differentiated music community ecosystem via product and content enhancements to keep us ahead of the curve. We are now better positioned amid a healthier industry development. Our top line growth drive solid margins in the third quarter, representing our second consecutive quarter of positive gross margins. Some of our innovations include upgrading our main cloud music homepage in August, adding new community features. Users are also enjoying our newly launched music gift box function, which opens the video creation capacity to individual users, allowing them to distribute customized content to friends. In addition, we launched Village Citizenship Card, giving each of our users a personalized ID in Cloud Village, allowing them to feel a fresh sense of belonging. This created a lot of buzz on the social media, further extending our brand influence. In combination with other industry players, we are actively working to secure more high-quality content with better ROI, especially following the recent favorable industry changes. In the third quarter, we completed a direct agreement with Warner Music Group, which means we now have direct digital distribution contracts with all the three of the world's largest recording label groups. We are also pleased to see such favorable collaborations with big labels at a more reasonable cost structure, providing us with the flexibility to optimize our content investments using a more disciplined and predictable approach. Meanwhile, we are also actively completing our major Chinese music library, recently adding several new copyrights, including Modern Sky, one of China's largest independent record labels, and Emperor Entertainment Group, one of the largest entertainment groups in Hong Kong. Our negotiations with some major music labels are close to being finalized, and we expect more to come, further complementing our song library offering. Turning on to Yanxuan. As NetEase's private label consumer brand, Yanxuan continues to build its brand awareness by regularly launching highly popular products via diversified channels. Apart from solid sales growth from external e-commerce channels, we now have seen strong momentum from short video platforms such as Douyin and Kuaishou, with some popular products like bathroom fragrance and coffee crackers. Our advanced and differentiated original design products are being very well received by the users and the market. In Q3, we successfully launched several original design series across categories, including clothing, dining and kitchen, home furnishing, and personal hygiene and maternity. We are gaining increasing recognition for excellent design and creative style. In August, we won 2 prestigious Red Dot Awards for our Dear John bedding design and Yanxuan Dunhuang Museum tea packaging design, competing amongst thousands of design submissions that came from more than 60 countries and regions. These accolades add to NetEase Yanxuan's increasing number of awards and honors, which includes 2021 German IF Design Awards, along with many other international awards and recognitions from the design industry. During the Double 11 promotion, we recorded over 100 million GMV through Taobao and Tmall channels, and on JD, we were also the #1 brand for daily goods and products. Commensurate with our extensive growth across our businesses, our capacity to give back has grown as well, enabling us to amplify our ability to help our communities. Our resolve towards social responsibility has also been heightened by the immediate needs of those who have fallen victim to natural disasters and public health crises. Most recently, we were deeply saddened by the destruction and loss felt by those in Shanxi and Henan provinces. To help these flood-ridden areas ravaged by natural disaster, NetEase has donated over 50 million to Henan and RMB 20 million to Shanxi to support much-needed relief efforts and post-disaster reconstruction. The mounting natural disasters tell us that we all must become better custodians of the earth. As a corporate citizen, NetEase is committed to environmentally responsible action. In addition to our financial contributions toward natural disaster alleviation and restoration, we are leveraging our strengths and resources for environmental protection. We believe games have the power to raise awareness among billions of people across the globe about environmental conservation and restoration. In the third quarter, Life After, one of our flagship titles, joined the second annual Green Game Jam, organized by the UN-facilitated Playing for the Planet Alliance. Players need to go to the forest in the game to put out the forest fire during the activation. Our participation in this alliance represents NetEase's increased social responsibility, using games as a tool to create environmental awareness to help protect our planet. As we continue to advance our environmental and social pursuits, we are thankful for our growing business that allows us the financial capability and social influence to support these efforts. Moving ahead, we will continue to cultivate our business by exploring more creative practices to enrich our broad content, increase our product exposure, and bring even more diverse and engaging experiences to our users while leveraging our strengths to enact positive social and environmental change. This concludes William's comments. I will now provide a brief review of our third quarter 2021 financial results. Given the limited time on today's call, I will be presenting some abbreviated financial highlights. We encourage you to read through our press release issued earlier today for further details. Total net revenues for third quarter were RMB 22.2 billion, or $3.4 billion, representing a 19% increase year-over-year. Our net revenues from online game services were RMB 15.9 billion, up 15% year-over-year. The year-over-year increase was primarily due to our newly launched games, such as Narrative Blade Point and Harry Potter Magic Awakens, as well as from existing games such as Fantasy Westward Journey Online and Westward Journey Online 2. Net revenues from our mobile games accounted for approximately 69% of the total net revenues from online game services in the third quarter. Youdao's net revenues reached RMB 1.4 billion, up 55% year-over-year, driven by fast growth of both Youdao tutoring services as well as increased sales of intelligent learning devices. Of the Q3 total revenues, about 25% of that relates to academic subject courses in China's compulsory education system. Net revenues from innovative businesses and others were RMB 4.9 billion for the third quarter of 2021, up 26% year-over-year, mainly due to increased contribution from NetEase Cloud Music. For Cloud Music, both membership and live streaming revenues maintained solid growth momentum, driven by robust paying user expansion. Our total gross profit margin was 53.2% in this quarter, with a breakdown as follows. Gross profit margin for our online game services was 64.5%. As a reminder, this number is generally stable, with some narrow fluctuation based on the revenue mix of mobile and PC titles, as well as self-developed and licensed games. Gross profit margin for Youdao was 56.6%, compared with 45.9% in the same period of last year. Significant growth was primarily attributable to the improved learning services gross margin due to improved economies of scale and continuous optimization of our faculty compensation structure. Substantial sales growth of the smart learning hardware, such as our Youdao Dictionary Pen 3.0, also contributed to these gains, as this line carries a higher gross margin than other product lines. Gross profit margin for innovative businesses and others was 15.6%, compared with 16.8% last year. The decrease was mainly due to decreased gross profit margin from the games streaming business, CC live streaming. NetEase Cloud Music, however, enjoyed its second consecutive quarter of positive GP margin. For the third quarter, total operating expenses were RMB 8 billion, or 36% of our total net revenues. Our selling and marketing expenses as a percentage of net revenues were 14.1%, compared with 14.7% in the prior quarter. The quarter-over-quarter decrease was mainly due to decreased marketing spending related to Youdao. R&D expenses were RMB 3.8 billion. The third quarter is our seasonally high quarter for R&D, as our new campus hires graduate and commence their career with us. We remain committed to investing in content creation and product development, which is core to our sustainable future growth. The effective tax rate was 19.6% for the third quarter. As a reminder, the effective tax rate is presented on an accrual basis, and the tax credits differ from each of our entities at different time periods, depending on applicable policies and our operations. Non-GAAP net income attributable to our shareholders for the third quarter totaled RMB 3.9 billion, or $599 million. Our non-GAAP basic earnings per ADS were $0.9 or 0.18 per share. Our cash position remains strong. As of September 30th, our total cash and cash equivalents, current and non-current time deposits, and short-term investment balance totaled RMB 98 billion, compared with RMB 100 billion as of end of last year. In accordance with our dividend policy, we are very pleased to report that our board of directors has approved a dividend of $0.045 per share, or $0.225 per ADS. Lastly, under the current 2-year share repurchase program, approximately 13.5 million ADS has been repurchased as of September 30th for a total cost of approximately $1.3 billion. Meanwhile, under NetEase Youdao share purchase program, approximately 0.1 million ADS has been purchased for a total cost of $1.8 million as of September end. Thank you for your attention. We would like to open the call to your questions. Operator, please go to Q&A.
Thank you. If you would like to ask a question, please press star 1 on your telephone keypad. If you're using a speakerphone, please make sure your mute function is turned off to allow your signal to reach our equipment. For the benefit of all participants on today's call, if you wish to ask your question to the management in Chinese, please immediately repeat your question in English. Please limit your questions to 1 at a time. If you wish to have follow-up questions, please rejoin the queue. We will now take our first question from Alex Poon from Morgan Stanley. Please go ahead.
William, Charles, Margaret, 恭喜你们非常强劲的业绩和游戏储备。我第一个问题想问一下哈利波特，请问一下在海外发行的时间表是具体有一个什么的情况？刚才说是明年2022年会发行，有没有一个更加具体的时间表，比如说是1季度、2季度，等等。哪些地区是由我们来发行？然后想问一下，在内容社区本地化工作方面的进展大概是怎么样？ 最后就是海外游戏的这个海外收入的预期，这个游戏收入能做比这个国内的情况更加强劲吗？谢谢。My question is, first of all, congratulations on very strong results and game pipeline. My question is regarding Harry Potter overseas release schedule. Do we have more specific timeline for different regions for release next year? How's the progress of content localization and community localization, etc.? Do we have a revenue expectation for overseas? How is it compared with China revenue? Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Alex. Let me answer your question directly in English. We have a strong pipeline, and Harry Potter is one of them. And right now, we subject to obviously the progress of localization, we intend to launch Harry Potter to some overseas market as early as first half of next year. And given the huge fan base of the Harry Potter IP worldwide, and particularly encouraged by the very strong performance of Harry Potter in China, we are hopeful that this game would become a worldwide sensation. The publishing right is a commercial arrangement between NetEase and Time Warner. For some of the markets, NetEase will be in charge of publishing, whereby majority of the overseas market publishing will belong to Time Warner.
Charles. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now take our next question from Alicia Yap from Citi. Please go ahead.
Thank you. William, Charles, Margaret, 晚上好，谢谢接受我的提问。我的问题是关于这个云音乐。想请问一下管理层，就是说，因为其实最近有很多短视频，其实有对这些音乐平台有一些用户时长或者是用户增长的一些吸引，所以不知道说云音乐这边其实有没有担心短视频对我们的冲击。然后另外其实也想问一下，就是说像抖音这边会不会担心抖音他们其实也会进军这个音乐领域，然后如果会的话我们预期它会带来怎么样的一个威胁哈。然后我自己翻译一下。Thank you, management. My question is related to NetEase Cloud Music. So how do you see the overall competitive landscape and also the time spent dilution from the short video platform? Do you worry if the leading short video platform like Douyin that could enter more aggressively in the online music content that could actually pose some threat to cloud music over time and also affect the user time spent on cloud music? Thank you.
对短期内的确是会看到这种短视频和视频直播会分散用户这个一些时间，它其实影响的不只是短视频，不只是说音乐，也会影响到游戏其他的一些手机上的关注力的分散。但是我们相信音乐和视频最大不一样的地方是，优质的音乐内容是会让人的情绪有很强烈的共鸣和沉浸感。这是音乐和视频内容最大不一样的地方。视频你看过一遍呀，往往很少会看第二遍，但好的音乐你听过一遍以后，你可能想听第二遍、第三遍，甚至一段时间这个旋律一直盘旋在你的脑海之中。第二个问题，你问说担不担心这个其他的平台做音乐？我相信这是一个开放的市场我们 很欢迎任何一家企业能到这个音乐的市场里来，帮助更多的音乐人有更好的作品可以发掘，可以培养他们，发展他们。我们是持一个欢迎的态度。
Alicia, so yes, we do observe that at least in short term, short format videos or other general video formats have taken some of the user time spent, that not only in music but also in games, in other forms of entertainment. But what's the major difference between music and the video is that music creates that resonance between users. It creates that immersive experience for users. So video, when after you watch one video, you probably don't want to watch it again. But for music, you tend to want to listen to it over and over again if it's a piece of music that you love. For your second question on potential new competitors, new entrants to the market, our view is that this is a very open market. We very much welcome others to join and help those independent musicians in China to realize their dream. Thank you.
谢谢 William， 谢谢 Margaret。
We will now take our next question from Natalie Wu from Haitong International. Please go ahead.
Thank you. 晚上好，丁总 Charles 和 Margaret， 谢谢接受我的提问，以及恭喜那么强劲的一个业绩。那我的问题呢是关于永劫无间的。上个季度呢，咱们提了一下卖 copy 和内购的一个收入比例。那现在全球卖出600万份了，想了解一下这个数字在现在的这个时点来看是到多少了，以及这两块收入这个收入确认分别是怎么做的。那还想了解一下这个管理层对于这个游戏的一个生命周期的看法。Thank you for taking my question and congratulations on a very solid quarter. So my question is regarding Naraka Blade Point. Just want to get an update of the copy-based sales revenue contribution versus in-game purchase revenue contribution at the point of 6 million copies worldwide. And also for each part, how should we understand the deferral treatment in terms of the revenue recognition? Also, if management can share with us some thoughts on the longevity of this game, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, Natalie, in the interest of time, I'll answer that question directly in English. So firstly, on your question on revenue recognition, so both for the copy sales as well as the in-app purchase, we adopt the revenue deferral treatment over an expected lifespan. So this is consistent with our revenue recognition treatment of other PC and mobile games. Obviously, with the games being launched a few months back, now the more and the gross billions will come more and more from the in-app purchases, which we are very confident that Naraka Blade Point, just like many of our other NetEase flagship titles, will have a very time-proven longevity. We think a combination of stellar global sales record for copies as well as our longevity through operations, through content update, this will create a unique model for the global PC games in terms of proving the longevity and sustainability of the gross billion over the longer term. Hopefully that answers your question.
Yes, very clear. Thank you, Charles.
We will now take our next question from Kenneth Fong from Credit Suisse. Please go ahead.
嗨，丁总，Charles Margaret， 谢谢接受我的提问，也恭喜你们非常强劲的业绩，还有 Harry Potter 在国内的空前的成功。我一个问题是关于音乐的，我看到我们 sign 了这个 Big Three 以后呢，最近也签了这个英皇娱乐，往后我们应该怎么想 签这些新的版权的节奏，还有呢对我们云音乐的版权成本还有 margin 应该怎么想他们的影响呢？Thank you, management, for taking my question. I have a question on the NetEase Cloud Music. Note that we have obtained the full copyright authorization from Emperor Entertainment recently, and also the Big Three. So how should we think about the pace of signing up new copyrights and the impact and benefits on our content costs and the margin going forward? Thank you.
过去很长一段时间，因为中国的市场机制不够完善，导致很多版权，中国成了世界上音乐版权最贵的国家和地区。那7月24号，国家市场监管总局也向几个竞争这个企业提出了要求。您也看到，这中间我们和这个 TME 都发表了一些声明。我们最终是在版权这个问题上是希望这些版权供应商能够让中国和其他国家一样，这是一个公允的版权的价格，而不是说中国现在成了世界上版权价格最贵的，甚至贵出好几倍的一个国家，这是非常不公平的。所以这个成本呢，我相信在未来国家的监管下会趋于合理。第二个问题是说，在这些版权价格趋于合理的情况下，我觉得每个企业应该自己去创造一些竞争的优势，尤其是说怎么去帮助中国的独立音乐人去发展和扶持好他们的作品，甚至去引导他们创造出更多优秀的符合中国文化特色的歌颂正能量的作品，这是我们作为平台企业应该承担的这个社会责任。网易呢，在这个网易云音乐呢，在这个方面已经有所准备我们在非常这个积极和努力的为创造出中国能成为世界上音乐文化强国这一目标去努力。
Over the last few years, the methods in China have not been perfect, which is why the industry players in music industry have been paying a much more expensive price to the label companies than anywhere else in the world. As everybody has seen, on July the 24th, the authorities have gave guidelines to certain companies, ask them to give up exclusive rights. So I think overall, we would like to see is that what we would like to see is to be able to pay a fair price to the label companies across the world, and we are confident under the right directions from authorities, the Chinese music industry will continue to converge in the right direction. Secondly, we think that every music company in China should really be focusing on helping independent musicians to create good music, to relay positive messages. As a socially responsible company, NetEase Cloud Music has been making those preparation, and that is our agenda and that is our goal. Thank you.
好，谢谢 Thank you.
We will now take our next question from Thomas Chong from Jefferies. Please go ahead.
晚上好谢谢管理层接受我的提问，也恭喜这么强劲的业绩。我的问题主要是想问一下关于我们的M&A 的战略的，还有就是我们未来在现金的用途。另外一个问题是想关于expenses 方面，就是未来几个季度或者是未来一段的时间，我们在 OPEX 的话呢，可不可以跟大家分享一下呢我们的看法嘛？Thanks management for taking my questions and congratulations on a very strong set of results. My question is about our M&A strategies as well as the use of cash. In addition, can management share about the thoughts in terms of the trend in operating expenses? Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. I'll answer your question directly in English. So firstly, for our M&A strategy, NetEase is always being we are always very focused in our core pillars of businesses: games, online music, online education, private label brand Yanxuan. So our business development will be concentrated in our major verticals, and we obviously prefer, and for the past 2 decades or so, we've been growing organically. But we also remain highly active to explore opportunities to deploy M&A to further supplement our growth. So that's always been our consistent approach towards M&A. In terms of the cash proceeds used, again, we invest most of the cash into ourselves, into our talent acquisition and retention, into our content creation, and it takes patience and it takes commitment. For instance, a major title of next blockbuster game can easily take a few years with big budgets to develop. I think this is also one of our competitive edge, that as a major game powerhouse that we can afford and we can be determined to focus on what we are really good at and what we really want to create. OPEX trend is I think NetEase has been listed for over 21 years, and we've always had a very consistent approach into expense management. We focus greatly on ROI return. Given our strong cash balance sheet, we are not shy to spend money. However, we never burn cash for the sake of spending money. Whenever we spend money in terms of selling, marketing, into R&D, it is ultimately ROI driven, that we want to make sure that the money we spend today may not necessarily give us the top line return within the same quarter, but we will be handsomely rewarded. As such, we expect that we maintain a prudent yet healthy level of selling marketing. On the R&D front, we are committed to spend more. That is also encouraged by the authorities, and I think that is also what a long-term sustainable technology company should do. Thomas, that's the answer to your question.
Thank you, and congratulations on a strong quarter again.
Thank you, Thomas.
We will now take our next question from Eddie Leung from Bank of America. Please go ahead.
William, Charles, Margaret, 晚上好。有一个补充的一个问题，关于海外游戏的一个策略。我们知道好的游戏不同的国家应该蛮受欢迎，可是因为监管跟文化的一些差异，可能也需要针对某一些已经开发的市场做一些游戏是比较适合当地的一些口味的。刚才听你们讲，就是已经开始跟一些海外的 studio 有一些合作，我们也听过你们之前，比如说去年就开始讲这件事，比较好奇是你们内部有没有一个所谓分工，比如说国内的一些开发团队，基本上可能就是专注开发一些可能就是国内市场跟海外市场都有机会的一些项目，然后有一些可能专门是海外市场比较重点的游戏，基本上就是留给一些海外团队去做的。好，谢谢。I will do the translation myself. I have a follow-up question on your pipeline for the overseas game market. We understand that a good game should be popular across different regions, but there are also cultural and regulatory differences. So just wondering, besides working with overseas studios, if your Chinese studios will also be involved in game projects designed specifically for the overseas markets? Thank you.
我来回答一下这个问题吧。我们现在的话就是，国内的游戏开发团队，一般来说是，对于这种就是传统文化风、中国风相关的这样的游戏的话，我们是主要是主打我们国内的市场和华语地区的市场，这一块是非常专注的。除此之外，我们现在也是投入了非常多的力量，特别在新地项的时候会偏重于直接考虑是全球发行的这样的游戏。那么它的从玩法到这个世界观包装，一系列，那么都是可以做到全球玩家喜欢这样的一个标准。那么像这样的游戏，我们是有专门的团队在开发，这样的团队的话，可能是国内和海外的这样的我们的一些 talent 一起联合进行开发的。比如说我们像我们NTES的团队和国内团队一起开发。第三类的是我们完全我们投资或者是就是设立了海外完全在海外的这样的，他们会根据自己对海外玩家的口味的喜好，完全自主的开发，完全首先针对海外市场的这样的游戏。那么刚刚在财报中提到的海外的这样的深野工作室是这类的游戏，我们也是非常期待他们能够做出与众不同的作品给到全球玩家。
Thank you. The answer comes from Zhipeng. So our China-based team, their main focus is on the Chinese-themed games that they know well for the Chinese-speaking countries. But secondly, we have been putting a lot of energy and resources in games that's targeted for the global launch. So for those games, we need to think about the gameplay, the world view, and all the details in a global manner. And for those type of games, it's typically joint developed by our China-based teams and some of our overseas games, for example, Montreal. And thirdly, we also have games that's been developed solely by the overseas game teams who will be working on games that inspire them and that's targeted in the markets that they know the most well in. And so altogether, we hope to introduce to the global audience more and more exciting games to play. Thank you.
Thank you.
We will now take our next question from Jiulong Shi from Nomura Securities. Please go ahead.
William Charles Margaret 谢谢接受我的提问。首先恭喜一个非常强劲的这个Q3 的业绩。然后我的问题是想问一下关于这个元宇宙，然后这个是最近一个非常热的概念，我们也看到不少国内外的公司，包括游戏公司都表示打算在这个元宇宙方面投资，所以想请教一下，就是管理层怎么看这个元宇宙能给游戏行业未来带来的增长机会，然后能不能透露一下网易具体在这个元宇宙方面打算怎么布局I will translate myself. So my question is about metaverse, which is a very hot new area these days. Lots of companies are planning to invest heavily in this field. Can management share with us your vision on metaverse and what are the potential growth opportunities it may bring to the online gaming industry? And what are your strategies to tap this opportunity? Thank you.
对，那个嘉龙你好，元宇宙的确是一个非常火的概念啊，但是呢，老实说，目前谁也没有接触到元宇宙，对吧？这中间呢有一点就是，我可以非常肯定的跟大家说，在技术和规划各个层面上，网易已经做好准备了。我们懂得怎么去做规则的设计，怎么去做技术的储备，所以你不用担心这个，当元宇宙世界降临的那一天，我们不会没有准备我们可能是这个枪一下就跑得比谁都快这个我也只能回答到这里。
Okay. Yeah, Diallo, the metaverse is indeed the new buzzword everywhere today. But on the other hand, I think nobody has actually had first-hand experience in what it is. But in NetEase, we are technologically ready. We know how to accumulate the relevant know-how, the relevant skill sets when that day comes. So I think when that day eventually comes, we'll probably be one of the fastest runner in the metaverse space. Thank you, Diallo.
At this time, I would like to turn the conference back to Margaret Shi for any additional or closing remarks.
Thank you once again for joining us today. If you have any further questions, please feel free to contact us directly or TPG Investor Relations. Have a great day. Thank you.